The siren is blaring. That means it's time for another Truthnado. There's been a lot of talk recently about the tragedy that happened at the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and there are some conspiracies as to what was actually behind that. I don't have a Truthnado about that, but I do have a Truthnado about the man himself, Francis Scott Key. Now, we know Francis Scott Key wrote the words to the Star Spangled Banner. He did that while he was being detained by British ships. And I'll get to how that happened very quickly. The British Navy was pretty high on themselves at this point during the War of 1812 because a few days earlier they managed to burn the White House. They managed to set fire to the White House. Now, the guy who was in charge of making sure that didn't happen, like, here's some soldiers, now just make sure British troops don't burn down the White House. That was Francis Scott Key, and he done messed up bad. So luckily he was friends with President Madison, and he's like, well, what should I do now? And they sent him out in a small boat to go to the British fleet of warships and try to negotiate the freeing of an old hostage they had there. And Francis Scott Key's like, what if they just shoot my ship and kill me? And they're like, we're willing to take that risk. So he did there. He got the hostage negotiated. He's like, all right, I'm going to peace out back to Baltimore. The British Navy was like, no, you're not, because you know too much of our plans now. You've seen our ships, and we don't plan on there being much more of Baltimore left because we're going to bomb the hell out of it tonight. And they did try to do that, but they didn't know that at Fort McHenry, they had just gotten a big new gun with really long range. So whenever a ship tried to get close enough to do some damage to the fort or anything else, it got blown out of the water. And Francis Scott Key was looking, and he saw, by the rocket's red glare, that the flag on top of Fort McHenry was still there, and he wrote that poem. And this is my other Truthnado. It's a good poem. They set it to a song that already existed, but if you're good at poetry, you're probably not going to be a good soldier warrior. That's my Truthnado. The Venn diagram of soldier and poet, there's not much out there.